Known as the Great White Shark, Greg Norman has secured a high status in the world of golf. Even though he remains in the limelight every now and then, he once again became prominent in the eyes of the public when he used harsh words for a PGA Tour analyst. Join us in today's video to get through the war of words between the PGA Tour and LIV Golf champions. Greg's journey from PGA Tour to LIV Golf. Australian professional golfer Greg Norman won huge success from the 1970s till the 1990s. Before playing on the PGA Tour, he gathered around 26 victories at various tournaments. He faced the peak of his golfing career when in June 1984, he won his first tournament on the PGA Tour. But his mastermind wasn't only for golfing and playing sports. He also worked hard during his life to build himself a successful empire. Greg Norman is the CEO of the Greg Norman Company, which deals with real estate and designing golf courses. Just in 2021, he joined the LIV Golf Investments, for which he received criticism for a long time. For those of you who don't know what LIV is, let us give you a brief introduction to it. LIV Golf Investment is a professional golf tour financed by Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund. Additionally, the tournaments were expected to begin by the year 2022. The journey from PGA to LIV Golf Investment wasn't free of hurdles for Greg. And guys, these plots are getting deeper with the days passing by. The PGA Tour versus LIV Golf plot thickens. As Greg starts to play the game, he strongly believes in the saying that revenge is a dish best served cold. If you have been an avid follower of the PGA and especially Greg Norman, you know that he has been paid some crazy amounts of money while being the head of LIV Golf. But it turns out that money wasn't the biggest motivation for this 60-year-old ex-golfer. Honestly, if we are paid this huge amount, trust us, we are ready to let go of any sort of revenge. But that is not how Greg Norman is. His battle against the US-based Golf Association PGA Tour dates back to 1994. However, the two-times major champion holder revealed that he doesn't hold any grudges towards the association. But we highly doubt that, eh? If you guys aren't used to catching on to every little thing about the world of golf, let us give you a quick recap of where these grudges are coming from. From the beginning of his golfing career, Greg knew his self-worth and how to make his way out. Greg Norman is a man of no secrets and was brave enough to confess how he suffered heartbreak while having a top-class career. Even though he knew that the best golf in the world was played on the US PGA Tour, he still wanted to explore the opportunities beyond the borders. Just when he won his first tournament on the PGA Tour in 1984, he already questioned why his abilities to play around were with terms and conditions. Because, guys, working with associations requires the players to adhere to certain permissions. And this is exactly what upsets Greg Norman to this date. As a member of the PGA Tour, he had a set of rules and regulations that were meant to be followed no matter what. As Norman explained in an interview, "It still frustrated me to death why, as an independent contractor, I couldn't get out there and expand on my true market value that I truly believe I had." His words are true depictions of what regret sounds like. Many of us would believe this pang of guilt would last for a year or two for the Great White Shark. However, we were wrong, and even after nearly 30 years, he wants to continue that rivalry. But it's no surprise that not everyone in public would ship to these rivalries and have many questions in their mind. But how Greg responded to these questions, we think, was a bit skeptical, at least for his supporters out there. So, what are your thoughts here? In the past month, analyst Brando Chamblee shared his thoughts on Greg Norman. While we already know how Greg Norman felt about the PGA Tour and receiving the negative comments about joining LIV, however, the real deal was when Golf Channel analyst Brando Chamblee shared his 2 cents on LIV. We guess what he shared was more than 2 cents because claiming something so huge about a legend can land you in some deep trouble. While he wasn't aware of what he decided for himself, we were already expecting Greg to respond furiously. Okay, let us first share what the analyst had to share. So, he declared that Norman should be kicked out of the World Golf Hall of Fame. He also justified his decision by saying he is involved with the new league that has grabbed all the high-profile players from the PGA Tour. And you'll be surprised to hear that the analyst was true about LIV Golf stealing the high-profile players from the PGA Tour. Because let's not forget how Mickelson joined the LIV Golf investment. Guest players are getting paid way too much on the LIV tournaments. Well, that was a wild guess, but God knows the real reason. Next, what happened was obvious. The fans were waiting for a reply from Norman himself. Greg Norman replied to the Palm Beach Post, and the reply was quite harsh, at least for us. What happened in the past few months, including criticism about Greg joining the LIV, wasn't something Greg would let go of that easily. And just in that time, the comments by PGA Tour analysts were strong enough to light a fire in the golf world. After this whole story, we were eagerly awaiting for the response from Greg himself. And the wait was over when he was talking to the Palm Beach Post in a casual talk. He told them, "I find it laughable. Has Brando Chamblee ever been to Saudi Arabia? Has he ever built a golf course in a third world country? He's a paid talking bobblehead. That's all he is." Eh? That was really harsh. We can already imagine the burn this would have caused. Just when we thought the feud was over, Greg further said, "He's got my phone number. He's never picked up a phone and asked me a question. Sadly, you're making yourself look like a jerk. It's like water off a duck's back to me." With so much said by Greg Norman, a reply from Brando Chamblee was indeed mandatory. But people here were actually watching the whole feud as some soap or serial, waiting on the next episode. Just then, Brando made it to Twitter to respond back. And the next headline was, Brando Chamblee responds to Greg Norman on Twitter along with screenshots. Brando came up with answers to Greg Norman with a screenshot that included a text conversation between them. Brando commented, "Funny how when I call it like I see it about LIV, it's not so refreshing to Greg." Further, he also revealed that the conversation occurred even before the launch of LIV Golf investment. Thankfully, there were no harsh words fired at each other, but Greg Norman made sure to clear up his thoughts about LIV. Greg Norman declared LIV as one of the ideal business models. As Greg says about the PGA Tour, they brought it on themselves. We haven't done anything other than putting together a business model and giving independent contractors a right to earn a living doing something else, as well as still being a member on the PGA Tour. He added, "The entire business model from the ground up was built to coexist within the ecosystem of gold, coexist within the majors. And guys here, just when we thought the fight was over, it was the beginning of the never-ending battle between PGA versus LIV." Greg also revealed that he has already taken the high road and feels sorry for the PGA Tour. According to him, the tour has already hurt its reputation by promoting the anti-LIV golf movement. On the other hand, the PGA Tour also revealed that they would suspend any players who are supporters of LIV Golf. And here's some shocking news. The PGA already did so by not including Mickelson in their tournaments. But guys, that didn't stop the players from joining the LIV Golf. And many notable players have already flocked to support them. And we consider the huge sums of guaranteed money might be the reason behind such high-end publicity. Only time will tell how the LIV tournaments will end up. And at this point, you might be wondering, how can we enjoy their events, right? LIV Golf doesn't have a TV channel. Despite being a huge name, LIV doesn't have any TV deal. But that doesn't mean you would miss out on the events. At the present moment, LIV Golf exclusively streams its events online. According to the Post, huge names including David Feherty and Charles Barkley will also come along with the LIV. Life on the PGA Tour is pretty good, but the thing that lacks here is guaranteed deals. And this would be only possible when players are allowed to travel to events and get paid for the appearance. This is what Greg Norman wanted to highlight why players are not allowed to freely play wherever they want. What do you think about Greg's decision? Let us know in the comment section below. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. I'll see you in the next one.